This is the lower opening of a ventilation shaft. Air is drawn from ground level to here through ducts, and then into this cooling room for lowering the temperature of the air. By passing through these layers of stones, much of the heat is removed. Next, the still warm air passes through filters which clean it of fallout ash. This large machine produces ice which forms on the surface of a drum and is broken up by the action of automatic hammers. Air is then passed through the ice and drawn into the living quarters of the shelter. This massive system is intended to enable those in the shelter to survive for 2 weeks. But no one knows how functional it may prove to be, if ever needed. In the mountains near Freiburg, close to West Germany's border with Switzerland, there is a shelter of a different sort. It is the only shelter in the world devoted to preserving the cultural inheritance of a nation. Placed inside cylindrical steel capsules are microfilms of historical documents such as diaries and books written by people who have left their names in German history and the international treaties Germany has concluded. But will there be any humans left alive on Earth to open the capsules? And if they are ever opened in the distant future, will they be of any use?
If we are far enough away from ground zero, a shelter may offer a chance of short-term survival. In a global nuclear war, any large city can expect at least a 1 megaton bomb. 1 megaton is 70 times more powerful than a bomb that erased the entire city of Hiroshima. In all the tests of nuclear devices and the detonations of the bombs that fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, their power and their devastation always exceeded predictions made by the scientists involved. The facts and figures used in this program are also conservative, so the effects of a nuclear war may be far worse than any predictions we have made. In any event, the results could well mean the end of all life on Earth.
The thermal pulse generated by a 1 megaton bomb reaches approximately 5,000 degrees Celsius at ground zero and moves outward at the speed of light. Even concrete and bricks and hard steel melt in an instant. Immediately following the thermal pulse comes the shock wave. In a modern city, shattered window glass becomes a horrifying rain of death. People would be hit by a storm of glass fragments blown from high buildings. In major cities around the world, at mid-afternoon on a warm, sunny day in July, the population density is at its peak. Stores are filled with shoppers and tourists. Children are enjoying their summer vacations. The streets are crowded. And office towers filled with workers. A 1 megaton warhead detonated above such a major population center would vaporize everything in a flash of light. In 1977, the United States government published a book, The Effects of Nuclear Weapons. Details from this book were used to create the following simulation. The focus for this simulation is Tokyo, because of its large population, its industries, its communications and transportation network. A The 1 megaton nuclear warhead explodes about 2.5 kilometers above the city. A detonation at this height produces maximum destructive power. In Tokyo, at exactly 2 p.m. on an average weekday, within a 5-kilometer distance of ground zero, there are an estimated 50,000 train commuters and 3,500 cars on the expressways. Hotels and temples, gas and oil storage tanks, nearby high-rise buildings, shopping districts, and residential areas. A little park that is to become ground zero echoes with the cheerful shouts of children. Suddenly, a gigantic fireball, almost 2 kilometers in diameter, appears in the sky, and the thermal pulse sears the ground. The shock wave at ground zero exerts a pressure of 20 tons per square meter. Buildings are crushed and pieces scattered. Then a powerful wind with incredible speed tears at anything left standing. Lines of cars burst into flame as they are hit by the thermal pulse and blast wave. Belts of fire run through the city streets. The center of Japan's political and economic life is swallowed by an enormous ball of fire and utterly destroyed. In other major cities such as Toronto, New York, London, and Moscow, the same scenes of death and destruction will be repeated over and over. The heart of a city, directly beneath ground zero, will be vaporized in an instant. Everything facing ground zero bursts into flame in the white flash of the thermal pulse. Seconds later, the shock wave strikes. The glass skin of the buildings is blasted into fragments and driven by tremendous winds with speeds of 400 kilometers an hour. Thousands of tons of shattered glass showers down upon anyone caught in the open. Within 5 kilometers from ground zero, there will be complete destruction. At a distance of 10 kilometers, the thermal radiation still has the power to ignite anything that it touches. Fuel storage facilities are a necessary part of any large city. Often located near shopping areas, houses, and schools, these are within the city boundaries. When these are struck by the thermal pulse, the energy released by 1 million tons of fuel is equivalent to several nuclear explosions. The eruptions and searing fireballs add to the deadly rain of nuclear destruction. During the working day in the larger cities of the world, there are several 100,000 people within 2 kilometers of the city center. They will be killed instantly. Within 20 kilometers, there are several million people, and only a small fraction of them could expect to survive. These projections are based on a single 1 megaton bomb. But in a nuclear war, Many warheads will be fired at each target. Today, the number of nuclear warheads throughout the world is 50,000, but this number is increasing by more than 1,000 each year.
3, 2, 1, mark.
The American ICBM Minuteman III, traveling at 20 times the speed of sound, it can cover the distance between America and the Soviet Union in 30 minutes. To match this, the Soviet Union has two missiles, the SS-18 and the SS-19. A nuclear attack target map. The circular zones shown with blinking lights are the areas constantly patrolled by missile-carrying submarines. The yellow marks show the positions of missile storage and submarine bases. This 500-meter high tower is an antenna for the Very Low Frequency, or VLF, communication station at Northwest Cape, Australia, an American military installation. In very low frequency communication, radio waves as much as 70 kilometers in length are sent from this antenna by an extremely powerful transmitter. This type of VLF communication is a reliable method for sending coded messages to submarines at sea, and is therefore of critical importance to present-day nuclear strategy. Kariya City in Aichi Prefecture, central Japan. 8 towers at regular intervals rise high above the rich farmland. Formerly the Japanese Imperial Navy's Yosami wireless station, it is now a United States Navy communications facility. From the network of towers at Yosami, communications are maintained with nuclear-powered submarines in the Pacific area. For the United States, Yosami is a highly important facility, ranking with 3 other American bases in Japan at Jadina, Misawa, and Yokosuka. The green lights blinking on and off show communications facilities, which, according to military strategists, would be among the first targets to be attacked.
I think we just targeted Western Europe.
William Arkin is the director of the Arms Race and Nuclear Weapons Research Project in Washington.
Okay. Then, of course,
Arkin and his staff work out the positions and importance of military installations, which would be designated as targets in the event of a war. The number of such targets worked out by Arkin's team amounts to 7,600 for the United States and the USSR combined.
the importance of bases like Yokosuka and Yosami needs to be understood in the context of current defense strategy. The United States is now deploying new Trident missiles and submarines to the Pacific. So the importance of very low frequency transmissions in the Pacific increases significantly as the worth of the submarines in the Pacific also increases.
Nuclear-powered submarines have become of strategic importance to war planners today. This is the USS Ohio, the most advanced of America's nuclear-powered submarines. It carries 24 missiles with a total yield of some 20 megatons. One missile has 8 warheads at its tip and a range of 7,500 kilometers. The Ohio can thus strike at almost any area in the world and can aim at 192 targets simultaneously.